And welcome back, troglodytes, to another episode of Trogly's Guitars. Today we have a 1982 Gibson SG Standard in pretty well all original condition. There's just 3 parts that were changed out on this one. I guess technically 4. Bridge and tailpiece have been swapped out. In the 80s, they did have a bridge that looked like this. They called it the top adjust, when it looked exactly like this except for this part. So that I don't believe that's one of those. And then this is kind of a featherweight tailpiece. You can see it has some pitting and just the chrome's kind of coming off it there. So those have likely been replaced, as well as you've got some strap locks on it. But besides that, I guess one more thing here. The frets have also been redone. But besides that, everything is stock on this one, and this is a fabulous playing guitar. The action looks like medium action, but since the frets are so tall, that's why it's kind of set a little bit higher than like super low, but it's still a fantastic player. So let's take a look here. Obviously, you've got lots of wear and tear. This was somebody's guitar that they actually gigged with. You can see you got a little bit of a lacquer chip there. Some just average wear and tear around the guitar. You also have some very nice finish checking, as you can see. It's very mild. You really have to kind of get up there and in the light to see it, but it is there. Frets, though they've been replaced, they do still show some very light wear, but the guitar still plays fine. And this is a very professional job, so you don't have to worry about it. I don't see any like chips in the fretboard, which usually happens. This is a very nice dark rosewood. And these little cracks you see on the side, that's from when, well, it depends on what climate you're in. Like if you're in my climate, this happens to every guitar that was in my own personal collection, is because as the seasons change, wood, expands and contracts back, but the frets being made of steel, they don't. So when it slightly moves, that's what causes those little cracks there. Very common on 70s and 80s Gibsons and even current day production Gibsons. The pickups are the original tarback pickups. They used tarbacks in the 70s and 80s SGs. I don't think they stopped using them until probably around 87 when Gibson was bought out by a new company, which is the current company. You've got some wear and tear on the sides here. That looks like a filled in screw hole. It's not. It's just kind of where it got dinged and the lacquer kind of bubbled a little bit. The original speed knobs here are very nice and aged. Looks cool. And what's really special about these 80s SGs and why they're some of my favorites is your input jack's on the side. You don't got to worry about, cracking your SG there from going and putting your input jack in. So that's why I personally love 80s SGs, because the side input. Now, I think the toggle switch is typically here on an SG. So that is moved. Some people like that, some people don't. It doesn't really bother me that much, but I'd just like to point that out for you. There is kind of a finish check slash like scratch. It's not a crack. It looks like somebody was adjusting this and their screwdriver kind of slipped and got it. Definitely not a crack though. There we go. Then you have plenty of little nicks and dings here and there. You've got some finish worn off the side and some dings on the face of the guitar there, as well as some scratches and just overall wear and tear. Once again, this was a player's guitar, so there's going to be player's wear on it. I mean, you can tell it's one of the good ones because, refret, tons of wear, but it wasn't abused by any means. It's just got honest play wear. You've got some buckle wear on the back, but nothing too incredibly bad. Now, something that you're probably seeing right now is this wing has a very different color to it. But no, that's not a repair or anything. Sometimes Gibson just didn't color match very well. You can see the other wing's kind of a lighter color than normal too. That almost looks like Carina would. The color anyways. You can see the serial number 82312544, which makes it an 82 model. You've got your wear and tear on the top. This is a pretty early Gibson tuner, the 80s, that they started using. Now this isn't a break or anything, that's just once again where the finish is kind of bubbled. It's very common on these early 80s. My own personal collection used to be Spotlight Specials, and they kind of had stuff like that too. As you can see, you've got some light nicks and dings in the neck, but nothing too bad. I mean, this is probably the worst of it there, but you only lightly feel that. I would say I would classify this as a 60s neck, but more towards kind of a medium profile. I mean, it's not beefy by any means, but I wouldn't call it a true 60s slim neck. It's kind of in between. So you can see all the light buckle wear here. Now this is interesting. Once again, that's kind of that bubbling lacquer type thing where like the grain wasn't filled properly. So that's kind of what a lot of this is. But you can see like the finish is kind of chipped in that area, you know, since it's kind of a large bubble. So as long as you don't pick at that's the worst it'll be. I mean, it looks like it's worn down through the wood, but it's just that bubbling lacquer. There's only that one little area that's actually truly in the wood that you can see there. And it's not super brittle or anything. I mean, you can do this all you want and scratch at it. Unless, you know, you get in there and you're trying to pick it off. I mean, it's not a weak finish by any means. So overall, it is just a very nice guitar, and every time I have a 70s or 80s SG, Chicago Music Exchange always buys it from me within like a day or so. So maybe I price these things too cheaply, but I think the people who ask, you know, $2,000 for these, I think that kind of exceeds what they're worth, because they're fantastic guitars. But I would never pay $2,000 for one. I mean, that 1.5 is probably what I consider these guitars to be worth. Because they're fantastic players. They feel great. Like, whenever I have a modern SG, I hate it. They feel weak and brittle. But these 70s and 80s SGs, I've come to love. They feel a lot more secure to me. And this one will come with its original Gibson chainsaw case. This is a pretty nice one, actually. It still has its logo at the top and all 3 latches. A nice little compartment lid. It's in good shape. There's no funky smells to it or anything. And I love shipping guitars in these cases. The Gen 3 is not my favorite. I prefer 1 or 2. But Gen 3 are my favorite for shipping guitars because they're kind of larger and bulkier, which is better protection. Alright, Troglodytes, thank you for watching. And if you're interested in this 82 SG, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Trogoys. You can also check us out on Reverb. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.